Well, the state gave Blue Oval SK $250 million in taxpayer money to bring thousands of jobs to Kentucky. But this week, every worker at that plant found out they're losing their job.
If a company is not holding up their end of the deal, what should happen?
Well, they should give the money back. That's what I say.
There's many of people that relocated and, moved from other states to come here.
Dwayne Mollison worked at Blue Oval until last year.
The profits are private, but the losses are public. $250 million without any conditions, great negotiating, that money is gone. Sounds like it was a scam to get taxpayer dollars for some to live the high life using that money. My husband worked on this job with the local 369, they called it a fantasy land. Sad. We are seeing more and more layoffs in the car manufacturing and especially in the electric vehicle market. Like, these companies are laying off workers left and right. There's been thousands of people laid off in Ford and GM, and we can see the video from the GM CEO saying about how all these battery plants are gonna bring so many jobs and how this is gonna be so great for the country. And
how many jobs, for instance, do you anticipate creating with these new battery plants in the United States?
Well, roughly every battery plant is around 1,100 to 1,200 people. So if you think about that, 4 plants alone, and we're not done yet, that's a significant job creation.
General Motors is making major job cuts in Ohio. GM and its partner Ultium Cells are cutting 550 jobs from its electric vehicle battery cell plant in Lordstown near Warren. Another 850 workers will be temporarily laid off as GM pauses production until at least May. Company cites a slowdown in EV car sales, in part due to the end of federal EV tax credits last month.
And we actually have a comment from somebody that was laid off. As of 1 of 1600, I wish I'd stopped seeing this. It was literally one bad thing after another the last half of the year. It's even more than 1600 potentially losing jobs. We employed a lot of third-party companies for various types of jobs to supply the plant and keep it clean. They're having to worry about job security as well. It's getting bad, guys. You can feel it in the air, and everyday interactions, it's a tough time. Even scraping by is tough. I hate that they closed the plant. That's 1,600 jobs lost and 1,600 jobs affected. That's real people with real lives. The problem is not many people want EV cars and trucks. Forcing people to choose something the main populace doesn't want does not work. There's no point for them to be making the electric F-150 if nobody's going to be buying them, so there's no need for this factory to be making battery packs for them. A lot of people moved to Glendale to be making battery packs for Ford, and now they're being laid off.
Well, the state gave Blue Oval SK $250 million in taxpayer money to bring thousands of jobs to Kentucky. But this week, every worker at that plant found out they're losing their job.
WDRB's Addie Shaney digs into what's happening with that money.
The end of all Blue Oval SK positions in Kentucky.
The shutdown comes after a string of delays, including never opening the second plant, Kentucky 2, and just 4 months after production began at Kentucky 1. Now 1,600 people are out of a job. The state paid big money to bring the plant here. A $250 million forgivable interest-free loan of taxpayer money. In 2021, the legislature passed Senate Bill 5, moving $350 million from the general fund to Kentucky's Economic Development Finance Authority for forgivable loans.
And we wanted to help Ford. Starting to look like it might have been a mistake now.
Kevin Bratcher, a current Metro Council member who was a state representative at the time, is one of many lawmakers who voted yes. In return for the money, Blue Oval SK agreed to create 2,500 jobs by the end of 2026 and 5,000 by the end of 2031. That first goal is now out of reach. The repurposed plant won't open until late 2027 and expects to employ just 2,100 people. If a company is not holding up their end of the deal, what should happen?
Well, they should give the money back. That's what I say. Now, there's no law that they have to do that.
WDRB asked Governor Beshear, what happens with those taxpayer dollars now?
We're talking with Ford about it right now. So Ford is taking the position of the joint venture, but now we've got to look at overall numbers of employees and when they think they'll hit them for the number of years. So those are ongoing discussions.
They're laying off 1,600, but hiring 2,100 people. The laid off ones can reapply, as they're shifting the plan for batteries to renewable projects and data centers. This is what my company does when they're trying to reduce payroll costs. Fire everyone, rehire under a new contract with less pay. And then they wonder why they have a hard time acquiring talent. Hey, making car batteries, you have an auto workers union to deal with. Making just batteries for power storage or data centers, you don't. Guess they will turn it into a data center now. You joke, but they're transitioning to make batteries for data centers and utilities. The good news is they're not closing, and per article, they'll end up employing more people. The shitty part is they're not retaining employees and instead allowing them to reapply for jobs again. They can pay them less that way.
Blue Oval SK has laid off 1,600 employees at the battery plant in Glendale. That's their plan, built as a partnership with the Ford Motor Company and SK On. As the change comes for Glendale again, its Main Street will rely on small-town tourism, while hundreds seek new jobs. And that's what our Ian Hardwick and photojournalist Jessica Farley discovered today.
Mary Spock stocks her shelves with American-made goods. A construction worker from the American-made battery plant 2 miles down the road was her first customer.
From the start, Blue Oval has not been a negative impact on me. It's been positive.
But most of her Main Street customers come for Glendale's antiques and restaurants, not Blue Oval SK.
We had a comedian visit from California. She was on tour and traveling from Louisville to Nashville.
The plant still brought people to town. Ford's partnership with SK On hired over 1,600 people for car battery production. After the partnership ended, Blue Oval is laying off those employees. Ford is taking custody of the plant.
There's many of people that relocated and, moved from other states to come here.
Dwayne Mollison worked at Blue Oval until last year.
Before this mass firing, there was a lot of people that got let go over unionizing.
He says he was one of them. A Blue Oval spokesperson said, "Our company does not permit or tolerate discrimination or retaliation." The National Labor Relations Board hasn't found any unfair labor practices at Blue Oval, but is investigating 5 complaints. Mollison was happy with the pay, $19 an hour.
Companies around here didn't start upping their pay rate until Blue Oval came.
Here on Battery College Drive, the hope was that the Elizabethtown Community College could train about 5,000 people to work at Blue Oval SK. Now Ford says they're prepared to hire 2,100 people here, leaving a pretty significant gap. Ford is switching its focus from electric vehicle batteries to bigger than the ones that go in cars.
Cool. Like, you're making something in America. Good. That's the goal, right?
But Spock says her customers prefer the quieter Glendale from 5 years ago.
You're just kind of like re-ruffling those feathers, and they're going to be a little bothered for a little while.
Even in the company divorce, the plant is here to stay.
We put a lot of taxpayer dollars into this facility, and we put a lot of energy and effort and infrastructure into this area, into this region, and to have something happen, to have to pause and shift and to look at something else is very frustrating.
And although this may seem on the surface as a short-term setback, in the long run, those jobs will be here, and the commitment to Ford is backed by and underpinned by a $2 billion investment in these factories here in Glendale.